So introduction to railways as a permanent way. So in this today's session we will be discussing what do you mean by permanent way, what are the different components of permanent way, what are the requirements of different components and functions of each components, and at the end we will try to cover the gauge part of permanent way. So permanent way. Now this particular word is related to the railways. Now what do you mean by permanent way? Now just you see the right at the right side of the presentation there is one picture which shows the railway track. It shows the railway track. This is a railway track. Now what do you mean by permanent way? It is a track on railway or railroad, also known as a permanent way. So railway track is considered as a permanent way, but it is a structure. Permanent way is structure consisting of rails. So these are the steel rails, fasteners, sleepers, these horizontal wooden sleepers, and ballast. Ballast means this aggregate or crushed stone material of a track, plus the underlying subgrade. So the permanent way is nothing but it is a railroad structure which consists of rails, sleepers. The connection between rails and sleeper is called as a fasteners, and ballast. Ballast means crushed stone part of a rail track. For clarity, it is often referred to as a railway track. Now, as per the British English and UIC terminology, it is normally used the word as a railway track. So we are also usually use the same word as a railway track. We are not using the word permanent way. So railway track and permanent way, both the things are same. But at the end of this slide, everybody should aware of that a permanent way or railway track is nothing but the various components which constitutes the permanent way, and these components are rails, sleepers, fasteners, or connection means connection between rail and sleepers that are called as a fasteners. Ballast means the crushed stone part of a track. You can see this crushed stones which are used below the sleepers. These are called as a ballast, and the underlying subgrade. So this is a permanent way components. Now if you see the traditional track structure, now this is a cross section, a schematic cross section of a track. Now at the top you will see these two vertical lines indicates the rails, steel rails. So these are the rails. So entire traditional track structure consists of two parts. One is the permanent way and second is the track foundation. So what are the various components of permanent way? This is also called as a track structure. So as already you know, the various components of permanent ways are rails. So these are the two rails running parallel to each other. Then rails are resting on sleepers. Rails are resting on sleepers that are connected to the sleepers. Then the sleeper is resting on ballast or crushed stone, that is also called as ballast and sub-ballast portion. And these ballasts and this entire structure, that is rail, sleeper, ballast, is resting on a formation part. So the formation or a track foundation part consists of a blanket, means once again it is a soil material, and the subgrade. Now these two parts, that is a blanket and subgrade, provides the foundation. You can say it is a foundation of a track structure. Like in building construction, we are providing the foundation for safe transfer of the heavy loads to the ground strata. Same thing is there. The permanent way is resting on foundation, which is constitutes of soil and subgrade portion. So these are the various components of track structure. Now in this figure you will see the different types of tracks. So this picture indicates the different types of railway tracks. These are also railway tracks. You see what are different types of railway track. Now this particular picture number 2 indicate there are no crushed stones. You see there are no crushed stones means it is a ballastless track. We will see in detail what do you mean by ballastless track. So they are not using any crushed stone over here in this portion. In normal structure, rails, sleeper, ballast and the formation. In this particular structure, they have not used the ballast crust stones. So this is called as a ballastless track. We will see in detail afterwards. Now this is a typical cross section of a railways or a permanent ways. Now what it shows, the first two, these are the rails, these are the two rails. The inner distance between the two rails, is called as a gauge. This is called a gauge. We will see in detail what is a gauge and what are the different types of gauge and what is the necessity of gauge. We'll see afterwards. So these are the two rails. These two rails are resting on sleepers. These are resting on these sleepers. Then all around the sleepers there is a cushion of crest stand called as a ballast, which is provided. Now this is a cushion of crest stand ballast which is provided. Now this is laid in a slope of 1.5:1. So this particular slope is 1.5:1. This is called as the shoulder part of a ballast. It's called as a shoulder part of a ballast. So this is the shoulder part of a ballast, and slope is provided as 1.5:1. This is a standard slope. In India we are providing. Then this entire ballast portion is resting on murum or sub ballast portion, which is laid at a slope of 2:1. Now this particular trapezoidal portion at the bottom indicates a murum portion, which is called as a sub ballast to give the support the ballast cushion. And these things, this particular the formation width, this is the formation width from this point to this point is called as a formation width, and this is the ballast base portion. Now this is a ground level. On ground level you are providing 2:1 slope of ballast or big size stones. On that slope, on that particular ballast or murum portion, we are providing another ballast portion 1.5:1 in the slope, and it is a small size stone, then sleepers and the rails. So this is the typical cross section of a track, which is also called as a permanent way. Now what are the components of permanent way? Already we have seen the rails, sleepers, and the last portion is the formation. Now why the rails are provided? It acts as a girder, you can say it acts as a steel beam to transmit the wheel load to the sleeper. So whatever the load which is coming through the entire locomotive, that locomotive load which is running, which is in dynamic nature, that it has to be transferred to the ground. So the first component we are using the rails. So these are the girders to transmit the wheel load. So why it is wheel load? Because the wagons are connected with the wheels and they are running through the wheels. That's why the word is wheel load is used. So the entire load which is coming on the wheel, that is wheel load, is transferred to the sleepers. Sleepers. Now these are spaced at specified distance. Now as you already have seen the various pictures of the track, you will find that the sleepers are spaced at a particular distance and are held in position by ballast. So they are resting on the ballast and they are held in position by the ballast. Sleeper holds the rail in proper position because the inner distance between the two rails has to be maintained. The rails are running parallel to each other and the inner distance is required to be maintained. For that, we are connecting rails to the sleepers. So the role of sleeper here is to hold the rail in proper position. Otherwise, there will be derailment of the entire locomotive, and provides a correct gauge. Correct gauge means inner distance between the two rails that has to be maintained the same throughout the length of a permanent way or a track. With the help of fastenings, we can say the connection joints and transfer the load to the ballast. So role of sleeper is very simple. They are spaced at a specified distance. They have to hold the rails in proper position. They have to provide the correct gauge. Otherwise, if the inner distance between the two rails is not maintained, there is a likely possibility of derailment, and the locomotive will not travel on a rail because the distance between the wheel is also constant. So it requires the constant distance between the rails also. And these sleepers are connected to the rails with some fasteners or some fittings, some connections, and at the end they transfer the load to the ballast. So load from locomotive is coming to the rail. From rail it will get transferred to the sleeper, and the foundation part, which is called as a formation, it takes the total load of the track as well as of the trains. So total load of track means the load of ballast, sleeper, rail, fasteners, and along with this the load of train is taken by the formation. Now what are the requirements of permanent way? So first of all, the first requirement of permanent way, it should be in proper level, and as far as possible it should be a straight. Now permanent way means railway track or railway road. It should be in proper level and it should be a straight. The gauge means the inner distance between the rail. It has to be uniform throughout, and it is to be a correct gauge length. Third is the curve. Whatever the curve you are providing, that must be properly designed. Now we are going to design all these things. The curve must be properly designed, and the super elevation means, as you earlier know, that banking of roads, the same philosophy is here. And with the super elevation, because super elevation is provided at the curves to mitigate the centrifugal force. So curve should be properly designed and super elevation is also provided. That is what the requirement. Now the permanent way must absorb shocks and vibration, means it has to be in elastic nature. As this is a structure having a high load, it has to transfer the high load, it has to carry the high load, it has to carry the goods trains, passenger trains, all kinds of trains. So loads are heavy, and at the same time it is in motion, that's why there are some vibrations. So the permanent way is able to absorb shocks and vibration. Now the fifth thing is, it must have a good drainage system to avoid waterlogging. Now as you know that in rainy seasons, most of the times the rail tracks are under waterlogging conditions. So it must have a good drainage system, so that whenever there is a rain or any other kind of water is coming to the track, it should be properly drained out. So that type of system should be there, and that is the requirement of a railway track, which is called as a requirements of permanent way. The gradient means the slope in the direction of movement. The gradient should be uniform and as gentle as possible. So there should not be any steep slope, because locomotive has to travel that steep mode. It has to cover that much of steep slope. So the gradient should be uniform. It should have strong provisions for renewal and replacement. So there should be provision made so that it can be easily replaced in any damaged condition. So it is replaceable, it has to be replaceable, it can be easily replaced, it can be easily maintained, so that the movement of train is not affected. So at the end of this slide, what are the requirements of permanent way? It should be in proper level, uniform gauge, curve should be designed uniformly with the super elevation, it should be elastic nature so that it will absorb shocks and vibration, good drainage system, gradient should be uniform, and at the end it should be strong to provision for replacement or maintenance. Now the first component of permanent way is rail. Now these two pictures gives you the two types of rails, we will see in detail. But what are the different parts of rail? The top portion is called as a head portion, the middle portion is called as a web, and the bottom is foot portion. So in this particular slide, the two types of rail has been shown to you. At the left side it is a flat bottom type of rail, and at the right side it is a bull head type of rail. In both the cases, the top portion, that is the head portion, is same. It is same. There is a slightly change in a web and foot portion. So mostly these are the rails are of hot rolled steel profile of an unsymmetrical I-beam. This is unsymmetrical I-beam. So if you see, if you try to find out, if you see along the y-axis, it is unsymmetrical, and along x-axis is also unsymmetrical. Sorry, it's along y-axis it is symmetrical, but along x-axis it is not symmetrical. So it is an unsymmetrical I-beam, usually used as the surface. So this is a I-beam section of a steel, rolled steel material, and they are used as the surface on which railway wheels runs. Unlike some other uses of iron and steel, railway rails are subjected to very high stresses. As you know that the loads are heavy, they are in dynamic nature. Therefore, stresses induced on rails are also high stresses. Therefore, these rails, steel rails, has to be made by using some steel alloys of high quality. The second is, what are the functions of sleepers? So the function of sleeper is, as you know that it is a rectangular support. Now sleepers are connected to the rail. They are rectangular in section. They are support to the railroad or rail tracks. Usually they are laid perpendicular to the rails. Now rails are in the direction, rails are moving parallel to each other, or they are placed parallel to each other, simply because you have to maintain the inner distance between the two rails as a constant throughout the track. That's why the sleepers are laid perpendicular to the direction of movement of train. They transfer loads to the ballast, that is the aggregate portion of a ballast or stone portion of a ballast and subgrade, and holds the rails upright and keep them in space to the garage. This is the common definition of a sleeper. Now, what is the function of sleeper? So, what is the role of sleeper in this entire track structure? First important thing that already you know, you have to maintain the gauge, means inner distance between the two rails as a constant. So, the first function of sleeper is to hold the rails in proper position. If they are able to hold the rails in proper position, then only the inner distance between the two rails is maintained constant. Otherwise, it will not be maintained constant. So, the first important thing, they have to hold the rails in a proper gauge. Second, whatever the load is coming from the rail, that is the wheel load from the locomotive is transferred to the rail, that is once again transferred to the sleepers. So the role of sleeper is to transfer the load from rails to the ballast. Third is to support and fix the rails in proper position. Fourth, to keep the rails at a proper level in straight tracks and at proper super elevation on curves, which is very important, because we are providing super elevation on the curves to mitigate, to counteract centrifugal force. So you have to keep the rails in a proper position, and the role of keeping the rails in proper position is by the sleepers. Then another important function of sleeper is to provide elastic medium between rails and ballast so as to absorb the shocks. And at the end, their function is to provide stability to the permanent way on the whole. So in short, we can say the various functions of sleepers are to hold the rails in proper position, to transfer the loads, to keep the rails at proper levels, at proper gradient, on curves, on straights, to absorb the shocks so as to transfer the shocks from rails to the ballast, and at the end to provide the stability to the entire rail structure. Now, what are the requirements of sleepers? Okay, the sleeper has to perform the following functions. Then what are the requirements of a sleeper? So, the first requirement of sleeper is, sleeper should be strong. It has to be strong because it has to carry the load and transfer the load. It has to absorb the shocks. So sleeper should be sufficient strong to act as a beam. Now the load of sleeper is a beam. So they have to be strong under high loads. Now sleeper should be economical. So it has to be made up of an economical material. It is to be a very cost effective. This is another requirement of a sleeper. The third requirement, it has to maintain the current range. That is its function. Fourth, they should provide sufficient bearing area for the rail. So contact area is called as bearing area between the rail and the sleeper. So they have to provide a sufficient contact area for the rails. Sleeper should have sufficient weight for stability. Now if you are using a lightweight sleepers, then they may not provide a stability to the track. So they should have some weight, self-weight, so as to provide stability. The slipper should facilitate easy fixing and take out the rails without disturbing them. If sometimes because of some accident takes place or any other mishap happens, there is a damage to the entire track. So in that case, we have to replace the rails and slippers. So the slipper should be easily replaceable and easily they can be fixed easily to the rails. So that kind of arrangement has to be there with the slippers. So slipper should facilitate easy fixing and take out the rails without disturbing them. Also, the another requirement of slipper is easy removal and replacement of the stone. Sometimes in the rainy season, the stone ballast or the are crushed stones are removed from the track. So these can be easily replaceable. So for that, there should be provision with the slippers also. They should not be pushed out easily of their position in any direction under the maximum force of the moving train. Now what does it mean? The connection should be such that with the rails and slippers and the weight of the slipper also, so that no one can remove easily. Otherwise, some people will remove it and there will be a possibility of derailment of entire railway. So they should not be easily removable and they should carry the maximum load of the moving trains in curvature also or in a straight track also. Now, the slipper should be able to resist the impact and vibrations of moving train. So material which are selected for the slipper must be able to resist the impact and vibrations. This is the requirement of a slipper. And they should be suitable for any type of stones, that is ballast, crushed stones. If track circuiting is done, it should be possible to insulate them from the rails. Track circuiting means what? Whatever the electrification or the systems you are providing for the signaling arrangement. You are providing some sensors to the rails and the slippers for signal system. That system you have to lay along that railway track, so that if you have to do such type of track circuiting, it should be possible to insulate them from the rails. Now what are the functions of ballast? Now, what is the ballast? The third component of railway road. Ballast is a granular material, usually broken stones or any other suitable material which is spread on the top of railway formation and around the slipper. So ballast is a crushed stones or broken stones. They are spread over the railway formation and around the slippers. So what is the functions of ballast? What is their role in this entire system? The first role is to hold the slippers in position and preventing the lateral and longitudinal movement. So longitudinal and a lateral movement of the slipper is to be avoided, and this will be prevented or avoided by use of ballast. Lateral means along the direction of the movement of train, and longitudinal means perpendicular to the direction of movement of train. Second, to distribute the axial load uniform from slippers to large area of the formation. So this is another function of ballast. As you know that wheel load is coming to the rail, from rail it gets transferred to the slippers, and from slippers it will be distributed to the formation through ballast, through crushed stones. Another important function of ballast is to provide elasticity to the track, so as to there should be an elastic nature in the track so that it can absorb the shocks, vibrations. So it acts as an elastic mat between the subgrade and slipper to provide easy means of maintaining the correct levels of the rail in a track. Now both the rails should be at the same level. In curvature or in super elevation, the outer rail will be at a higher elevation than the inner rail. So to maintain all these criteria of rails in a straight as well as in a curvature, the ballasts are used to drain the rainwater from the track, because to avoid the water logging and further problems, and to prevent the growth of weeds inside the track. To prevent the growth of weeds means to prevent the growth of plants, shrub inside the track. This is another rule of a ballast. Now, what are the characteristics of good ballast? Now we will stop here for today's lecture.